Hello, Jordan Sheridan, live from the mothership here on a very cloudy, looks like it's about to thunderstorm here in New York City. Looks like there might be a tornado coming in New York City at the end of May, but I'm here with you and I'm feeling quite sunny. How are you feeling out there in the world? We are back our second day back live here on the YouTube, or as I like to call it, FuTube, because it is now basically a platform for corporate media rather than independent media. But we're still here. Missed you too, Andy. Missed everybody while we were not able to go live. It's been a busy day here at Status Quo. We're working on a whole lot of things in the background. I'm going to wait till the audience gets a little bigger to tell you about some of them. We're going to have some surprises for you coming up. We have some good things going on as far as our Flushing Flint documentary that we have worked so hard on. We have some good things going on as far as trying to get out in the field and cover the campaign. We just got a lot of good things going on, and there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes. So make sure, if you have not yet done so, smash the like button. Smash that like button like your life depends on it. The more people that see this live stream, the more people that like this live stream, the more people that will see the live stream. That's the police. You hear those sirens? That's the police coming for you if you have not pressed that live stream like button. We definitely want you to consider becoming a Status Quo member, which we're going to talk about later in the show. You could do it for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Statusquo.com/join. That's how we're going to build, and that's how we're going to fund the reporting we're trying to do out in the field. And we, like I said, we're already going to have some surprises for you later this week as far as reporting in the field. Follow us at Status Quo on the Twitter. That's really important. We're trying to grow our Twitter. So you can follow us at Status Quo. I'm Jordan Sheridan on Twitter. Subscribe to our podcast and join our email list. Go to statusquo.com right now, and you could enter in your email in the little box. That's a major way that we are going to grow, and we could send you exclusive news first. And also, make it a habit every single day. Make it a habit every single day. Get into that. Go to statusquo.com. The more people that go to statusquo.com, we have original reporting up on statusquo.com. You could check out our members section. If you're a member, go to statusquo.com. I just published a members video today where I gave you a little bit more behind the scenes that I'm going to give the non-paying members about what we're working on. Thank you, Jennifer, for getting us started in the super chat today. $1 from Jennifer. This is a super chat. We had a lot of people feeling super yesterday on our return, and I hope today you feel as super, because the more people that feel super, the bigger Status Quo gets. So I want to get right into it. We are going to, hey, Michael ordered a t-shirt from Status Quo. That's a great reminder. Thank you very much. We have a Status Quo merchandise store, so I'm going to show you that a little bit later. I just want to wait till the audience goes up. It seems like, I could be wrong, we're getting a little bit of suppression here today, because yesterday, as soon as I went live, we already had like 50 viewers. But today, it's already a little suppressed. So make sure you press the like button, but also make sure you press the share button. So you got to like it and share it on your social media platforms. So, you know, we've been a little busy. So as the Joe Biden turns, I mean, honestly, the more I watch Joe Biden, and I try not to as much as I can, the more I watch Joe Biden, the more I feel like I'm watching Hillary Clinton with a penis. Some of you might not like me saying that. I'm sorry to be crude, but I feel like I'm watching Hillary Clinton in 2016 from a man with a penis. And what unsettles me about that is if we're basically watching Hillary Clinton campaigning, only a man with a penis as her, why would we think that's going to take out Donald Trump in the general election? Am I wrong? Michael, love you too. True reporting. I mean, I watched Joe Biden's campaign, and I'm going to go through every example. And he's running the same exact campaign as the most unpopular Democratic nominee in American history. He's running the same exact political campaign for president as somebody who lost to a reality television doofus. Literally, it's the same exact campaign, which begs the question: is Joe Biden running to win the presidency, or is he running to make sure Bernie Sanders cannot win the presidency? Andy in the super chat. I'll drop the rest in the GoFundMe. Love you guys. Thank you very much, Andy. And yes, I should remind you, we just started again pushing our GoFundMe because we're live again. So whatever you want, you could do the super chat if you want. But we definitely appreciate. Hold on. We definitely appreciate the GoFundMe a little bit more than super chat, only because YouTube takes a big chunk out of our super chat proceeds. Our GoFundMe, we just passed $54,000. We're going to have a big marathon Sunday, this Sunday at noon Eastern. We're going to have some cool interviews, great reporting. We're going to have a surprise for you this Sunday that I think you're going to want to start donating now to support that surprise. Hint, hint. We're going to have a surprise for you Sunday that we think you're going to want to start donating now to fund. I'm not going to say anything more than that, but we're going to have a surprise on Sunday, and you're going to want to fund us to keep that surprise for the long term. All I could say. You can't get the secret out of me. So, first of all, definitely watch the video Jen did this morning, where Joe Biden at a campaign event is literally, after 4 women already came out, basically pointing out that he's a creep and that he smells little children's hair, that he touches women in personal space they don't want to touch and don't want to be touched in. Joe Biden at a campaign event pulls a little child who looks like, get me out of here, mom, pulls a little child and then puts his hands on her shoulder and basically puts his head right next to her hair. The same exact thing that he went on The View and he said nationally that he was going to stop doing, and it's his responsibility to know people's personal space. He just did last night. Jen did a great video on it, so you can watch that video after I'm live. So, Joe Biden, and this is from Politico, who also just did a story calling Bernie Sanders a cheap Jew. This, again, Politico literally did a story that Bernie Sanders is a cheap Jew that I'm saving for Sunday. I'm going to talk about that on Sunday. So, Joe Biden is the front runner by every measure except big crowds. So before I read this story to you, do you remember a candidate in a not so distant election who was inevitable? Do you remember a candidate in a not so distant election who was front runner, clear the field, she's going to be the nominee? Do you remember a candidate who was leading in the polls big time, was, basically the corporate media painted them as inevitable, and they basically could barely sell out a bingo hall for a rally? Do you remember a candidate like that? David, $2 in the super chat. David, you inspired my channel, bro. Glad to hear it, David. Email info@statuscoup.com. Info@statuscoup.com. Email us your channel, and I'll take a look at it and try to give you my thoughts. So, basically, Hillary Clinton could not sell out a bingo hall in 2016. You want to know how I know? Because I was out there covering the election. I remember being at her campaign rally in Iowa, a local Iowa college. She could barely fill out a local college gym, the front runner. And now you have Joe Biden, the same exact thing. And remember, if you have not pressed the like button, it's the thumbs up under the video. Under this live stream, there's a thumbs up video. Give me a thumbs up. I don't care if you like me, just fake it. The more people that like, the more people that will see. Like. So, Joe Biden is the front runner, just like Hillary Clinton was. However, he can barely get enough people to fill a bingo hole. He's dominating in the polls. His fundraising is going gangbusters, and he's showing broad support from key political players in the early presidential states. So where are the big, energetic crowds, the lines around the block to get into Joe Biden's events? The question is no small matter in a party still recovering from a bitter 2016 defeat, a loss marked by a lack of enthusiasm for an establishment nominee in several critical states. Attendance at the former vice president's launch rally paled next to some of his rivals. In his first Iowa visit, he didn't match the crowds that greeted Elizabeth Warren or even the less well-known Pete Buttigieg in their initial visits. So far, he's kept his events to smaller venues where there's little danger of empty seats. Oh my God. Oh my God. And by the way, at the end of the live stream, we're going to start doing this. At the end of the live stream, I'm going to do a question and answer with you. I am going to answer people's questions first, or comments first, that do super chats, because we do need to make money here. We're a company. But at the end of this live stream, if you have questions, start getting them in your head, because I'm going to do a Q&A at the end of the live stream. So, the former vice president of the United States is getting less people to come see him in Iowa than a local mayor from South Bend, Indiana, America's mayor, Pete Buttigieg, the new sex symbol of America, who, by the way, is a complete fraud. Go watch my interview with South Bend's mayoral candidate. Forgot her name. Great progressive African-American woman. He's a fraud. So Joe Biden is getting less people to his Iowa events than Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, and definitely Bernie Sanders. And this is who you want to take on Donald Trump? Tell me in the super chat. Am I missing something, or is this suicidal? Because they tell me, I'm told by the corporate media, crowd sizes don't matter. Crowd sizes don't matter. It's how many people come out to the polls. Well, you know what does matter? Energy, inspiration, buzz. And the thing that was constant when I covered the 2016 campaign, and by the way, we're trying to raise money to cover the 2020 campaign, not like in 2020, right now. We're going to have some major surprises for you this coming Sunday in our marathon live stream starting at noon Eastern. And those surprises are why we raised our fundraising goal to $85,000. So don't wait till Sunday. You could start helping us out now. GoFundMe. Jen will put the link in the super chat. Every amount matters. I think the minimum is $5 with GoFundMe, but we have really great surprises for you Sunday. We think you're going to love it, and we are putting our money where our mouth is. And frankly, the surprise we have fronted the money for, which you'll find out more about on Sunday. So keep it coming if you can in that GoFundMe. Now, I would cover Hillary Clinton's campaign, and there would be barely anyone at the rallies. There would be barely, you could barely see Hillary Clinton lawn signs in Ohio or Michigan or Wisconsin. But we were told by the corporate media, don't worry about the rally sizes. The people that, older people don't necessarily go to rallies. Older people are the most reliable voters, and they don't necessarily need to be inspired. Don't worry about it. Well, we're being told the same exact thing right now about middle-class Joe, union man Joe. TB says, I don't like surprises. Well, TB, I don't know what to tell you. If you don't like surprises, I think you'll make an exception on Sunday. So, Joe Biden, he can't get crowds in Iowa. In the eyes of Biden's progressive critics, as well as President Donald Trump, who publicly mocked him for it, the seeming lack of excitement or teeming masses at his events is a leading indicator of a lack of passion for his candidacy. Quote, I started to think the polls were wrong about Biden because it's not what we're seeing on the ground, said Amy Allison, founder and president of She the People, a national network devoted to promoting women of color. Quote, inspiration is the X factor, and we're waiting for the inspiration from Biden, she said. When the inspiration isn't there, the turnout from the core of the Democratic base, women of color, isn't there, and then we lose. To Biden's campaign, attendance figures are a meaningless metric. Sounds a lot like somebody I knew in 2016, Hillary Clinton. Focusing on crowd size is Trump's game. It says an emphasis on style over substance that attempts to turn audience engagement into an argument about the 76-year-old Biden's energy level. Crowd size, after all, is an imperfect metric to measure a campaign's vitality. While it could be a revealing indicator, it still lacks the scientific underpinning of polling or the fixed dollar figures associated with fundraising. Nor does it account for the judgment of elected and influential Democrats across the country. Just as critics doubted Biden's popularity before he got in the race, his campaign is confident he'll have the crowds when he needs them. Quote, "We're seeing enormous enthusiasm for Joe Biden's candidacy across the country. Beginning the very first day of the campaign, when he got over 100,000 contributions, 65,000 of them were brand new to our list from all 50 states. Even so, since announcing his candidacy more than a month ago, Biden has yet to draw anything near the 20,000 people who showed in Oakland to cheer on Kamala Harris when she announced, or the 13,000 who turned out in Brooklyn for Bernie Sanders' launch. Last Saturday, when Biden held a rally for his headquarters openings in Philadelphia, his campaign estimated the crowd size was 6,000, a count that some local observers thought might be generous. One local elected Democrat who supports Biden privately told Politico the rally was smaller and less energetic than expected. And I'll give you a little behind the scenes. Jen wouldn't let me do it. But I said, is it okay if I tweet out that day? Somebody had tweeted out the attendance at his rally for his kickoff rally in Philadelphia. And it looked like an empty bingo hall. So I said to Jen, is it offensive if I tweet out like, Joe, next time, make sure you don't do a rally at peak bingo time. You'll get a lot more of the seniors over if you're not doing it during bingo time. And I'm not an ageist. I'm not trying to insult the seniors. I love the seniors. I love bingo. But it's true. So there's two things here, right? Trump had pretty big rallies. Bernie's rallies were bigger. Trump kept putting out there, oh, I got the biggest crowd sizes. No, you didn't. I was at both of your rallies. I was at Bernie's rallies. I was at Trump's rallies. Bernie had bigger audiences than Trump. Trump still did have pretty big audience. So Hillary Clinton always had smaller rallies. But it's not just about attendance at a rally. It's about what you see at rallies. Because part of a campaign and part of getting people that aren't political diehards interested in voting for you is when they could feel an energy around, when they could feel buzz around candidates, when they see that, oh my God, there's all this energy and there's all these people going downtown for a rally for Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump or whatever. They start thinking to themselves, these are people that aren't diehard into politics like us. Oh, maybe I need to look into this candidate, or maybe I need to go to one of this candidate's rallies. So it's not just about the actual crowd size. It's about if you have energy. Because to win a campaign against a quasi-fascist, you need a populist, an exciting movement type of energy to defeat that. Obviously, you did not get that from Hillary Clinton. And you're not going to get that from Joe Biden because young people don't want Joe Biden. Older progressives don't want Joe Biden. Even middle class, 40 to 55, they're not like, feeling something in their chest or down their legs when Joe Biden speaks. Joe Biden, basically, which I'm going to get to, his campaign slogan seems to be like, make America normal again. Yeah, that's going to bring out the young people. That's going to bring out the minorities. That's going to bring out, possible Trump voters to consider the Democrat. Just make America normal again. And remember, this is a super chat. So if you're feeling super, let us know. I'll read your comment or question. So it's just amazing. And by the way, when you kick at your official campaign kickoff, right, in Philadelphia, a major American city, if you can't get more than 6,000 people, which that was what his campaign said. But observers there said it wasn't 6,000 people, it was less than that. Because, by the way, that's a secret of the campaigns. They usually kind of round up numbers. Hillary Clinton's campaign rounded up significantly. They would say, oh, she had 700 people when it was like 400. But anyway, you're telling me that the former vice president of the United States can't get, if you want to be generous, more than 6,000 people, it was probably closer to 5,000 people, out on a Saturday for his campaign kickoff rally? You want to tell me? But if you add that, if you add the lack of excitement out there for Joe Biden, visibly, the lack of excitement, when you add the fact that Politico Story says they're purposely choosing smaller venues for his rallies to avoid the embarrassment of empty seats. Thank you, D. Doc, $2 in the super chat. Nice to see you guys back streaming. Fight on. Glad to be back fighting. We were fighting even when we couldn't go live, but we're fighting extra now that we're live again. And again, put it in your calendars. Sunday, noon Eastern time. We're going to be live, marathon live stream. We're going to have really important interviews, but also we're going to have a surprise for you, and I think you're going to love it. And that surprise is going to take a lot more fundraising. So I hope you save a couple bucks for today and this weekend, because we're going to need it. We have a surprise, and we definitely are going to need to fundraise a hell of a lot of money to pay for this surprise. But we think you're going to like it. So, you know, what scares me the most is, yes, Steve Richter, go to GoFundMe, please. What scares me the most is, you know that feeling when you see like a train that you know is about to crash? Just like gliding along, and you know it's about to crash, and you see the people like hanging out the windows, drinking champagne, and they're all excited. This is a slow-moving train crash, Joe Biden's campaign. Because you have reports from, I don't like Politico, but you know, they're reporting what they see on the ground. We've seen on Twitter at Joe Biden events, small attendance and small rallies. So you could see a visible lack of excitement for the former vice president of the United States, who, by the way, when he speaks, nothing really substantial comes out. He doesn't have any policy proposals. The only policy that he has put out, as David Sirota, Bernie Sanders' speechwriter, pointed out on Twitter today, he's basically plagiarizing what Bernie Sanders has already put out. Wow, sounds like Hillary Clinton when she started adopting things Bernie was putting out. But who was going to believe Hillary Clinton would actually follow through on any of those progressive promises? And nobody believes Joe Biden would do so. So what's scary about this is you have a lack of excitement on the ground, but you also have polls that are, as we've reported at Status Coup and others are starting to talk about, that are skewed significantly towards older people. So you have a lack of excitement on the ground, and you also have a basically inflated or exaggerated lead for Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders. Because if the majority of the polls are sampling way more people over the age of 50. And again, I always put this as a disclaimer. We're not insulting our viewers that are over 50, because there's a lot of progressives that are over 50. But by the data, by the trends, older people tend to be more establishment, to vote for the Bidens of the world, the Clintons of the world, the Obamas of the world. You get my point. Bernie's advantage is in under 40, even though he does have a lot of older progressive support. But if you have this lack of excitement and lack of energy, that they're purposely choosing smaller venues out there to basically make sure there's not an embarrassment of empty seats. If his campaign is deliberately choosing to keep him off the campaign trail, which is a whole nother story. He was off the campaign trail, I think, for 9 or 10 days. That's a lifetime in campaigning. So you don't want to pick big venues because you know nobody's going to show up to fill them. You're keeping him home in Delaware because you know that he's a terrible candidate. It sounds a lot like Hillary, Rodham, Warmonger, Clinton's 2016 campaign. Jen, could you let me know in the super chat? Am I wrong here? Am I wrong? Does this sound like Hillary? I guess it's Hillary 3.0 because she ran in 2008 and 2016. I see a slow-moving train wreck. Kimberly, does Jordan know what the average age of his typical viewer is? I think the predominant age we have, I could be wrong, but in the ballpark, is 25 to 40. But Jen would know better than me. 25 towards 40. Definitely have more male viewers than female viewers. We'd like to even that out. So that's one of our long-term goals, to expand the audience to more women, to more. We want as many viewers as we can. So, but I don't know the exact age. Jen would have to tell you. Oh, Jen doesn't know. Good. Jen doesn't know either. So last time I looked, it looked like it was 25 to 40. And we have a good amount of international audience too, which I like. So, what is different about Joe Biden than Hillary Clinton's campaign? Nothing. And the scary thing is, again, if the corporate media is making this myth and they're pushing these polls, that some of these polls, they're polling 900 people and they poll less than 125. Of those 900, less than 125 are under the age of 50. So you have the majority of the poll, the overwhelming majority of the poll, I'm talking about CNN's poll in this case, that is over the age of 50. So you're giving this false, exaggerated impression, this pixie dust that Joe Biden is beating. He's so far out in the lead. He's beating Bernie by 20 points. But meanwhile, on the ground, nobody's going to his rallies. Even older people. Older people are generally the ones going to his rallies, but, you could say, well, Jordan, the rallies don't matter because older people will come out on election day. You need more than older people to beat Donald Trump. Hillary Clinton's problem against Donald Trump was not older voters. They did come out for her. You know what Hillary Clinton's problem was? She had 5% less African Americans that came out for her as compared to Barack Obama in 2012. She had 5% less age 18 to 29 that came out for her as compared to Obama in 2012. Remarkably, in the face of a president that talked about Mexicans being rapists and drug lords and criminals, she had 6% less Latinos and Latinas come out for her compared to Obama in 2012. Thank you, Super Chat, Beta Virus. Corporate Democrats are running to divide the vote up so Bernie doesn't get 50% of the vote. Also glad you're back. Also hi, Jen XD. Thank you, Beta Virus. And I actually have talked about this, that why are all these people running? Why do you have 75 people running? 70 of which know they have no chance? Could it be to make sure no one gets enough delegates to win the first ballot? And then who gets to decide on the second ballot? Super delegates. But thank you for the super chat. Keep it coming. Let's see if we got anything in GoFundMe since I've been on. Wow, we did. Thank you to Andrea. Thank you to Andrea Paperno, who has donated a few times, $25. Thank you to Steve Richter, $64 in the GoFundMe, bringing us to $54,144. Thank you so much. And like I said, this Sunday, we're going to show you some big surprises. I think you're going to love it. We're taking a little bit of a gamble on these surprises, but you know what? When you believe in something as much as Jen, I, and Ty believe in status quo, sometimes you got to roll the dice to grow it a little faster. So that's what we're doing. And we think you're going to like the surprises this coming Sunday, noon Eastern. So thank you for the GoFundMe contributions. Keep it coming. Now, the other remarkably moronic part of Joe Biden's campaign, and there's so many, Joe Biden's promise, a return to normalcy. I'm not making this up. Joe Biden isn't promising a political revolution. He's not promising to drain the swamp, restructure the Senate, remake capitalism, or usher in socialism. What Biden is promising is a return to normalcy. The emotional core of Biden's Philadelphia announcement speech came about 25 minutes in. Shirt sleeves rolled up, the former vice president leaned forward and dropped his voice to a conversational octave. Quote, "The American people want their government to work, and I don't think that's too much for them to ask," he said. "I know some people in D.C. say it can't be done, but let me tell them something and make sure they understand this. The country is sick of the division. They're sick of the fighting. They're sick of the childish behavior. There isn't a single person among you, Biden continued, saying, or elsewhere in this country, who could get away with that in their jobs. All they want is their president, their senators, their representatives to do their jobs. Just do your jobs. Biden's speech is an intervention in a debate that will define the Democratic Party's 2020 message. The lesson a lot of top Democrats took from Donald Trump's success is that the American people want a fighter, a wrecking ball, a revolution. From that lesson emerged a strategy. Democrats would provide themselves the fighter Trump only pretends to be. If that was ever the right strategy, Biden is betting it's not now. Where most of the Democrats running for president used their announcement speeches to prove their bona fides as fighters, Biden used his to make the case that he's the guy to end the fighting. And more than that the American people are looking for a candidate who will promise them peace, not just victory. Quote, I know some of the smart folks say Democrats don't want to hear about unity, Biden said. Quote, the angrier a candidate can be, the better chance they have to win the nomination. I don't believe it. I really don't. I believe Democrats want to unify this nation. Oh my God, where do I start? Who's advising Joe Biden? Who's advising this idiot? Smash the like button, by the way. We got 134 likes, but we have 212 people watching. So there's almost 100 people watching that have not pressed that like button. You know, as a kid, I didn't get a lot of likes. I was on the outside looking in, which maybe I'll tell you my childhood story one Sunday. You want me to read you a sad bedtime story about my childhood story where I sat alone at lunch and I was different than all the rest of the kids? So, as an adult, I prefer not to be on the outside looking in. So can you just press the like button? The more people that press like, the more people that will see this live stream. And thank you, Jules, in the super chat. Appreciate it. So, here's hoping Nina Turner is Bernie's VP choice. I've been on the record that I think Nina Turner is the best choice. I do like Tulsi Gabbard. I would prefer Tulsi Gabbard as the Secretary of Defense than the Vice President. I want Nina Turner as the Vice President, but we'll get there when we get there. So let me get this straight, folks. Do a little experiment with it. So in 2011, let's go back to 2008. So in 2008, there was a global financial crash. And that global financial crash was basically set in stone in the 1980s, 90s, and 2000s because the Democratic Party, along with the Republican Party, basically bent over and took whatever Wall Street wanted them to take. Sorry for my crudeness, but that's what happened. So you have global financial crash in 2008, Occupy Wall Street in 2011, Tea Party with around the same time. Then in 2016, you have an electorate on the Democratic side and the Republican side that is basically revolting against the establishment. Of course, Donald Trump pretended that he was anti-establishment. Of course, Donald Trump was a pretend populist. He's as establishment as they come. He's down with the military-industrial complex. He's down with regime change and overthrowing democratically elected governments in Venezuela. He's probably going to do it in Iran, too. He's down with all of the criminality and the corruption of Washington, D.C. He's not a populist. He's a fraud. And we'll get to Donald Trump later and what Mueller said and all that. But what is most important here is Bernie Sanders brought out a pure progressive populist outcry against the corrupt establishment. So Joe Biden and his political wizards advising him, their thought is just 3 years later, all of a sudden, that whole anti-establishment thing, no, that's done. That's done. That was just a phase. You know how your kid's going through a phase on something? That's just a phase. That revolt, that was just like on Twitter for a few days. It wasn't real. People aren't pissed off at establishment figures anymore. People aren't mad at me, Joe Biden. People aren't mad at the Democratic Party. People aren't mad at the pharmaceutical companies. People aren't mad at the banks. People aren't mad at the fossil fuel companies. People aren't mad at their local and state level politicians taking blood money from the NRA and doing nothing for the people. People aren't mad at Silicon Valley stealing their data and selling it to the highest bidder. People love the establishment. All people want is just a return to the good old days before Donald Trump. So in 3 years, Joe Biden and his campaign wizards, their strategy is all these people that were against the establishment suddenly want establishment to feed them, to clothe them, and all they want is for the good old days of establishment. Well, let me tell you what a return to normalcy looks like. And I want to be clear, folks. I don't cover Donald Trump every day. I don't have Trump derangement syndrome. I cover him when I think we should. It's not every day. The rest of the media is doing that. If status quo wanted to be totally about money, totally about growing, totally about clicks, we would cover Donald Trump all day long, like an outlet that I used to work for, who will remain nameless. If we just wanted clicks, if we just wanted money, we would cover Trump 24/7, but we happen to have an old-fashioned idea, and it's called journalism. So we cover other stories. We get out in there in the field because we think that Donald Trump is a symptom to a much, much more severe disease. And there's a reason Donald Trump was actually elected in the first place, so we go cover those stories. And we cover Donald Trump when we think he needs to be covered. By the way, right now, we are at 409 paid monthly members. Well, 409 members. Some of them are most of them are monthly. Some of them are annual subscriptions. So that's another way we're really, really trying to grow. So if you're new to status quo, if you've been on the fence, if you didn't have the money, if you didn't have the money to do it, really look into your wallet, look into your budget. Is $5 a month worth it for real, aggressive, in the field journalism? Is $10 a month worth it? We have different plans: $5, $10, $20, or $179 annually. This is how you grow an independent media and an in-the-field independent media revolution. Statusquo.com/join. Check it out. I just posted a members video today. We're going to be posting more stuff just for members coming up. But it's super, super important because, there's a lot of media companies out there that ask you to pay $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever they're asking you to pay. And they make you all these promises that they're going to give you, but what are they giving you? Is it 24/7 Trump, the Russian boogeyman, Stormy Daniels, Nancy Pelosi versus Trump? Are they providing you anything that's worth paying for? Because I think in-the-field reporting on the campaign trail is worth paying for. And I don't just mean corporate propaganda. I mean aggressive in-the-field journalism. Hint, hint, we have a surprise coming for you on Sunday. Hint, hint, become a Status Quo member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. If you want to see more people become politically aware of the criminality that's going on in this country, the corruption, the injustice, the environmental genocide, the water contamination, the police brutality, the state and local level corruption, indigenous people under attack, black men and women under attack, Latinos under attack. Hey, Trump's even going after the handicapped. Become a member. That's how we grow. I'm not going to lie. We've been a little stagnant. Part of that is because we couldn't go live. We've been sitting between 405 and 410 members for 2 weeks. So we're hoping we get a couple more member signups. But back to Biden. I just can't believe that you could have a former vice president and his campaign staff. Dawn, thanks for the $2 in the super chat. How? I just can't believe that these people are stupid enough to think that the way to defeat Donald Trump is to say, hey, let's go back to the good old days when half the country was still poor, when people were dying because they didn't have health insurance, when the politicians were making decisions that were burning the planet, when the politicians were basically giving sexual favors to the pharmaceutical companies to screw you, when the politicians were basically selling out your local communities and states to real estate developers who gave them money. So they gave the real estate developers give the politicians money. The politicians give them your downtown and your land. The real estate developers then come in. They don't have to pay taxes. There's deregulation. And then all of America is gentrified. And native people native to those cities, have to move out. It's called gentrification. Bernie Sanders is the only person talking about it on the campaign trail. You know, another thing, Joe Biden wants to make America normal again. Hey, let's make America normal again. How's that look for normal? You see that red line starting in 1980? You see that blue line starting in 1980? Yeah, let's just go back to those normal days of the absolute theft of the working class of America's productivity and all the wealth getting gobbled up by the corporate, corrupt, United Corporations of America. Because that's income inequality in one graph. And this is what Joe Biden's talking about. Because really what Joe Biden is what Joe Biden is promising you, thank you, Gene, $5 in the super chat. Really what he's promising you is let's go back to the good old days of corruption. Let's go back to the good old days of injustice. Let's go back to the good old days of neoliberalism. Let's go back to the good old days of planetary destruction and basically selling our land to fracking and mining and, climate change. We'll do a middle ground on it. Let's go back to the good old days where we let real estate developers do whatever the hell they want. Let's go back to the good old days of the super PACs and all that, and blah, 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 blah. The good old days meaning let's go back to like today, how it still is, with the only difference being is I won't tweet about it. I won't tweet crazy things. You won't have to see this Twitter and reality show all the time. The corruption will be more hidden in the background, rather out up front from the president, which the corruption is obvious when you have a president like Trump. They're not hiding it. So let's go back. Let's make America normal again, meaning just as corrupt, just as unjust, just as economically and socially and racially unequal, just as barbaric in terms of literally allowing people to die because they don't have health insurance. And I don't want to go on too much of a segue, but honestly, I thought I was going to have a hard time doing this live stream today because before I did this live stream, I interviewed a father, and you're going to see that interview Sunday, noon Eastern time, for our marathon live chat. I interviewed a father whose 29-year-old son just superglued his seatbelt to himself. He just superglued his seatbelt to himself and drove his car off a bridge into a lake. You want to know why? And he wasn't perfect, this man. His name was Scott. Let me get it up for you. His name was Danny Desnoyers. And he was 29 years old. He had depression. He had mild psychosis. And he also had problems because of that depression and psychosis. He was somebody who committed domestic violence, which we don't condone. A big reason why he did that was because when he wasn't on medication, he lashed out. So he's not a perfect person, and his father says so. His father said so in the interview. However, the reason he killed himself was because at the end of March, when he went to the pharmacy to refill his prescription for his mental health medication that he needs to mentally be stable, he was told, oh, your insurance was canceled. Fidelis Healthcare canceled your insurance. He said, what do you mean they canceled my insurance? They canceled his insurance over $20. Over $20. His insurance was canceled because there was a $20 balance that he didn't pay. And because the insurance company sent the notice to his home that he was no longer, there was a restraining order against him where he couldn't go to his home, the mother of his child. Again, he had mental problems, and he did do some things that were violent against women and other people when he wasn't medically stable. But because he didn't get the notices that you have a balance, they cut him off. So he called Fidelis on April 1st. He called Fidelis on April 1st and said, I need my medication. I'm running out of medication. Again, depression and psychosis. And he paid the $20 over the phone, and he's told you'll be effective, you'll have insurance again effective May 1st. So he would have to wait a month to get insurance to be covered again for his medication. And because when you have depression and psychosis or other things like bipolar or schizophrenia or borderline personality disorder, or name your pick, when you don't take the medication, the symptoms that the medication is covering start revealing their ugly, ugly self. His father said the last 3 days of his life, obviously his father didn't know he was going to do this and kill himself. He canceled dates he had. He wouldn't get off the couch. He was looking at pictures of his kids very somberly. And then on the final day, he was so severely depressed and suicidal that he drove himself off a bridge into a river. And I just interviewed that father, who the father and the mother had to bury their 29-year-old son. Over $20. And by the way, I want to make clear, and I pointed this out in the interview. Status quo, we're not making a martyr, and we don't want to sugarcoat that he was violent in some cases against the women in his life. And that's not acceptable. And that's not okay. But I felt we should still do the interview because there were reasons that he was violent. And when he was medicated, there was no violence. And it's not about just this one son who, when he was medicated, apparently was a happy-go-lucky, laughing jokester. It's about the fact that, can you imagine, and I brought this up in the interview, which we're going to air on Sunday. Can you imagine for a second? Because mental health, by the way, is no different than physical health. So let's imagine all of our grandpas and grandmas. You know, mine all are no longer alive. But imagine your grandfather or your grandmother, and if they had really bad, their health was declining, so they needed oxygen. They needed oxygen, which goes through your nose, right? And a lot of older people need oxygen. And when you see them walking around, they need oxygen. Well, how do they get that oxygen? Through Medicare. They're covered through Medicare. Can you imagine if that weren't the case? What would society do if an old person was cut off from their oxygen because they didn't pay a bill and died within a day because they were cut off from their oxygen? That scenario is unfathomable because older Americans are covered by Medicare. Well, that example I just gave you is no different than somebody being cut off from their life or death saving mental health medication. Because these insurance companies that cut him off and cut off other people like him know that this medication, if that person is not on it, they have psychotic features. It's not a weakness, it's an illness. So by canceling somebody for $20, by the way, you're basically taking away their oxygen, which is that medication. That's what status quo is about. Those are the kind of stories we do that you're not going to see in corporate outlets. So that's why I ask you. We're not asking you just so we can make money. We're asking you, we need the money to cover these stories. And I promise you, when you see this story on Sunday, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You better bring your tissues. And I think you're going to be really sad and also really furious. And I know I went on a tangent, but the point is, Joe Biden is running a campaign basically telling you, make America corrupt again, but the corruption will be in the back rooms, hidden from the public. Make America less Tweety. Make America less Tweety, but it's going to make America the same. It's not going to be any different. Yeah, Joe Biden and the Democrats are not going to be as vile and Islamophobic. They're still going to, bow down to Wall Street and corporate America, but they will be nice to minorities. But most Americans, and I think most of you in this live chat, in this super chat, most Americans can't afford, a return to normalcy. Most Americans, no matter what the corporate media tells you, it's not a booming economy for most Americans. Most Americans are in a day-to-day crisis financially. People I know are in financial crisis. And financial crisis, by the way, is a big, big contributor to mental illness. So, if Joe Biden, his return to normalcy, he's going to have to explain how he's going to unwind that. Because that's normalcy, folks. The theft, the generational theft of our money to the wealthy. Even worse for black people. The return to normalcy means the police doing whatever the heck they want to do. A return to normalcy means let's frack till we can't frack no more. Gene says we need drastic progressive change. I agree with you, Gene. Thank you, Maddie, $14.99 in the super chat. Your reporting is so worth it. I appreciate you reporting on Flint and Native Americans. Thank you again. Thank you, Maddie. And one thing, with the surprise that you guys are going to find out about on Sunday, one part of the surprise, I think, is going to help us cover Native American issues. So I just did an interview with a lawyer who specializes in Native American law because there was a historic Supreme Court decision recently, 5-4, with actually Neil Gorsuch, of all people, siding with the liberals to honor Native American treaty rights. Big victory. That interview is up on this channel as well. So there's plenty of reasons to become a status quo member. Become a member as low as $5 to $10 a month. Fund this journalism. Fund these interviews. Fund in the field reporting. You could give your money elsewhere, but they're going to give you Trump, Russia, and BS, and we're not. I want to point out one more thing about Biden. No one's coming to his campaign rallies. His campaign kickoff was, according to the campaign, 6,000 people. According to observers, less than 6,000 people. And he's also barely on the campaign trail. Senator Bernie Sanders plans to enjoy ice cream with New Hampshire voters to celebrate Memorial Day. He won't be far away from Maryland Governor John Delaney, another presidential candidate, who's in the midst of his 19th trip to the state. In Iowa, Senator Cory Booker is rolling through the cornfields in an RV while Kirsten Gillibrand unveils a family Bill of Rights. And here's former Vice President Joe Biden's agenda for the holiday weekend, according to his campaign. Joe Biden has no public events scheduled. Those 7 words are becoming familiar for the Biden team. Aside from a campaign swing right after announcing his candidacy, Biden has kept his head down while his rivals rush from state to state. Even when he has held public events, they have included only a handful of questions from voters or reporters. The light public schedule reflects the unique position of his campaign, advisors say. With near universal name recognition and high favorability ratings among Democrats, the former vice president does not need to introduce himself to voters. Oh boy. But there are risks. Voters in the early primary states, especially Iowa with its caucus system that rewards on-the-ground organizing, wants to see the candidates personally and often. And there is the danger that Biden's schedule could reinforce a word President Trump is already using to describe his candidacy: sleepy. Well, if you watched the video Jen did earlier on status coup, go watch it after this live stream, I would also throw out the term creepy, because he's still touching young children at public events and invading their personal space. And this poor young girl that he put his hands on over and bent down with his hand in her hair looked like she wanted out. Watch that video from Jen. So, what do they think? What do they think? This man is just a manic? It sounds like his campaign, basically, it's like this is a mannequin. Joe Biden is a mannequin that they put back in the store and they only bring out in daylight. No, excuse me, that they put in the back room at Macy's, and they only put out in the showroom like once every 2 weeks. Sway Ocean, I would call U.S. elitist socialist crony capitalism. I'd call U.S. fascist corruption, but that's just me. So, I'm telling you folks, and I want you to save this video, there is a slow-moving train wreck, and his name is Joe Biden. He is Hillary Clinton with different body parts. He can't get anyone to come to his rallies. He doesn't want to campaign. His campaign purposely picks small venues because he can't fill bigger venues. He has given no policy. His only policy is make America normal again and unity. You know what type of candidates preach unity? Candidates who have no actual policy or way to inspire voters. And you know what Joe Biden has that's a lot worse than Hillary Clinton? It's a lot worse than Hillary Clinton. And I hate to say this because I think Hillary Clinton is pretty bad and awful. Joe Biden has such a longer and worse record towards African Americans than Hillary Clinton. Tara May, here's another $2 in the super chat. Thank you so much, Tara May. You always make me think of my favorite delicatessen, tiramisu. Joe Biden was in the Senate for 30 years. Hillary Clinton was not. Hillary Clinton did say super predators. Hillary Clinton was on board with the crime bill, but she wasn't a senator. Joe Biden drafted the crime bill. Joe Biden was against busing. Joe Biden, which I'm going to cover this story probably tomorrow, has gone to events honoring congressmen and senators that were anti-civil rights. Joe Biden has gone to events honoring lawmakers that are fans of Stonewall Jackson and Confederate soldiers. Joe Biden was ranting on the Senate floor, "I don't want them near my mother or your mother," referring to, criminals, i.e. those black people. Let me tell you something. It might not matter for older African-American voters, particularly women, older women of color, who will like him because he's attached at the hip to Obama. But it's going to make a big, big difference for millennial black voters. And I think it's going to make a difference for older male African-American voters. When Joe Biden's full record on crime and race issues and civil rights, and he was not a friend of civil rights, and he was not a friend of the civil rights movement or black Americans, when that comes out, it ain't only going to be the young people that are the young black people against Joe Biden. You're going to have adult males against him. I'm not a white guy telling black people what's good for them. I'm telling you my political thoughts and analysis. Tara May, enjoy working on your garden. So, as we get into 1 hour into this live stream, we're going to keep going for a little bit. We got 258 people watching. If you haven't pressed the like button, smash the like button. The more people that press the like button, the more people that see this live stream. I want to also remind you, if you don't know yet, status coup, we got swag. We now have a merchandise store. So all you got to do is go to our website, statuscoup.com, click on store, and the store, once you click on store, it'll bring you to our store. And we're going to keep adding new things so you can get shirts. You could get workout pants, I think that is. You could get, muscle shirts. You could get hoodies, coffee mugs, stickers. There's a lot of cool stuff in there. So definitely be a Status Coup ambassador. Strut your stuff. Status Coup swag. This is another important way that Status Coup is going to grow. And Krillin876, are you going to the Assange rally mañana? You got to tell me which one you're referring to. I'm personally not reporting in the field for a little bit because I just had back surgery. So I don't want to make the same mistake I made on my first back surgery, which was going out to the field too early, which probably is why I had to get back surgery for a second time. I'm still pretty sore. But if it's pretty local to me, I might go, but I'm not aware of which rally you're talking about. I am going to cover WikiLeaks and Assange probably on Sunday, if not sooner. But I might not be at the rally just because I can't travel right now. What I'm trying to do is ice and rest up so that I'm good enough to go to the first debate at the end of June. But I don't want to repeat. I'm not getting another back surgery. I've already had 2 in a year and a half, so I don't want another one. So I'm going to have to take it easy. But part of our surprise for this Sunday, which is why we need to keep going with our GoFundMe, hint, hint. Thank you, Corey. Another GoFundMe donation. A lot of people donating multiple times. Thank you, Corey. We are now at $54,199, so $800 away from $55,000. Thank you so much, Corey. I appreciate that. Part of the surprise that we're going to show you Sunday is more in the field reporting. And I'm keeping it real, folks. I'm keeping it real. Sometimes you got to take a risk. We actually don't have the money yet as a company to fund this in the field reporting. But the surprise we're going to give you, we think, is an opportunity we couldn't turn down. And I am fronting a good portion of the money for this surprise because I believe in the company. I'm the CEO of the company. And if I don't believe in it and I'm not willing to take a risk, how could I ask other people to believe in it? How could I ask other people to donate if I'm not going to put my money where my mouth is? So you'll see on Sunday. But keep the GoFundMe going. Henry, field trip? Where are we going? Field? Andy, we have a Bernie rally this Saturday going with my sister, who is also a Status Coup member. Andy P. Where's the Bernie rally? Is it in San Jose on Saturday? Andy, if it's in San Jose on Saturday, there might be a surprise there for you, Andy. Keep your eyes open if you're going to a San Jose rally. Keep your eyes open, Andy. Oh, Andy. So, now you know about the merchandise store. Obviously, you know about the GoFundMe. I've already talked about membership. We really need more members. It's been a little stagnant lately, so keep it coming if you can in the membership. Now I want to talk about something that I really don't want to talk about, but I feel like I should. I don't really do Trump that much, and I definitely don't do Russia that much. But Robert Mueller spoke today. Thank you, Carne Verde. $5 in the super chat. Rest up while you can. That's what I've been trying to do. And you know, it's interesting, Carne Verde. I don't want to go too into it, but because my disc problem was in the lower left side of my back, thank you, Betavirus, $2. Midwest Socialism Conference 2019 in Chicago. Oh, Jen, write that down. We'll look into it. Because my left side was screwed up and my sciatic nerve on my left side was screwed up for so long, I feel like my right side of my body was compensating. So now the right side of my back, my lower right side, I pulled because I think it was compensating. So here we go. Robert Mueller broke his 2.5-year silence today Here's what he said. Here was the main part that I think is important that he said.
The first volume of the report details numerous efforts emanating from Russia to influence the election. This volume includes a discussion of the Trump campaign's response to this activity, as well as our conclusion that there was insufficient evidence to charge a broader conspiracy. And in the second volume, the report describes the results and analysis of our obstruction of justice investigation involving the president. The order appointing me special counsel authorized us to investigate actions that could obstruct the investigation. And we conducted that investigation, and we kept the office of the acting attorney general apprised of the progress of our work. And as set forth in the report, after that investigation, if we had had confidence that the president clearly did not commit a crime, we would have said so. We did not, however, make a determination as to whether the president did commit a crime. The introduction to the volume 2 of our report explains that decision.
So
it explains that under long-standing department policy.
Basically, and I tweeted this, and boy, did I get a lot of crap for it. Basically, Robert Mueller just repeated what was in his report. He just said it out loud. So what he said in his report was, if we had an opinion that the president, if we came to a conclusion that the president did not commit a crime, we would say so. Meaning, we did not come to a conclusion that the president did not commit a crime. But everybody is getting so excited. CNN and MSNBC, oh my God, Rachel Maddow is going to pop a blood vessel tonight. Everybody is getting super, super crazy excited that Robert Mueller said out loud, if we had come to a decision that the president did not commit a crime, we would have said so. Well, I already know that. We already know that from the report. And by the way, I'm seeing the comments. I've seen this stuff about Assange. I haven't had time to look into it. I want to look into it more. But there are definitely reports that he's in bad health. So we will look into that. Don't worry about that. So Robert Mueller basically said in person what he said in the report, which is basically, it's up to you, Congress. It's up to you what you want to do. We don't have the evidence that we can't say he didn't commit a crime. And the whole ridiculous thing, and why I don't understand why this isn't the biggest topic of discussion. Dawn Evans, do you think they should impeach Trump? No, I don't. I don't. I'll tell you why. Thank you for the $2, by the way. Why is the topic not about why we even have this statute in the first place, where a sitting president cannot be indicted? Don't we have a system where a president, he or she, is not a king? If they keep saying nobody's above the law, which is BS, by the way, there's two different legal systems in this country. Actually, three, if you want to count African Americans and Native Americans. There's a legal system for rich people and connected people. There's a legal system for unconnected people. And then there's a legal system for African Americans, Native Americans, and Latinos. So there's three legal systems. But when they say nobody's above the law, that's just BS. Powerful, rich people are above the law, pretty much all the time. But why isn't the discussion, what was the point of this investigation if Mueller could not actually bring any charges by a ridiculous Department of Justice guideline? To me, that's the biggest outrage here. What was the point? Like, if he found clear obstruction of justice that could be charged, it sounds to me he was not actually able to charge it. Even if it was blinking red lights, obstruction of justice, which I'm already on the record saying I don't like. I don't think he should be impeached for political reasons, but I really don't. Any objective person who read it, he did obstruct justice multiple times. I mean, it's very clear he obstructed justice. People who say, well, you can't object. How could you obstruct justice when there's nothing to obstruct? There was no crime found as far as collusion or conspiracy. You don't need a crime. You don't need an actual criminal result for obstruction of justice. You need criminal intent. So even if he tried to obstruct justice, regardless of whether there was a crime to obstruct or not, even regardless whether there was a crime to obstruct justice to cover up, just the act of trying is a crime. So the bottom line is this. I don't understand what the point of Robert Mueller's investigation was if him and his army of prosecutors were not allowed to charge Trump with anything. But put that aside. Put that aside. Listen, I do believe in actual rule of law. Okay? I do believe in actual rule of law. I think, honestly, there's much worse things than Trump did that are grounds for impeachment than obstructing justice in the Mueller report. His bans of Muslim people from the country that have been knocked down and time again in the Supreme Court. His administration, putting children in cages and losing children and children dying on their watch. I mean, he's still making money from his real estate company as president and making decisions as president that benefit his business. There's plenty of ways to go if you want to impeach Donald Trump. I don't think this is the worst of it. Him obstructing or trying to get his lawyer, Don McGahn, to fire Robert Mueller. Yeah, it's obstruction of justice and to the letter of law. But impeachment is not a legal thing. Impeachment is not a legal proceeding. Impeachment is a political proceeding. So you have to come to the conclusion. Is this impeachable? Well, if this is impeachable, why isn't all the other illegal things him and his administration have done that I just listed some of them, why haven't we been talking about impeachment for that? You can't have selective impeachment. You can't impeach him for things that politically you think would help you, meaning impeachment proceedings over him obstructing justice on the Mueller report, but not try impeachment for Muslim bans, for children dying at the border, for Stormy Daniel payoffs, for financial crimes in his administration, for him literally making money as the president, violating all sorts of laws in that way. So if you're gonna impeach him, if you're gonna embark on impeachment proceedings, it's kind of, to me, a little suspect that this is the leg you want to stand on for this. Jen says there's a weird clicking sound. CC Silverwolf, all the financial BS. I'm trying not to curse because I'm going to get demonetized if I curse. Yes, all the financial stuff. His inauguration committee and financial laundering that went on with that. So why I say, listen, I think if I can't give a firm no, we should not impeach Donald Trump, because I can't in one breath say we need to have an actual rule of law in America, and then in the other breath say, but don't try to impeach Donald Trump. He did break the law. He did obstruct justice. But Congress can't do anything about that in a criminal way. Only courts and prosecutors and states can do something about him obstructing justice. And I think the Southern District of New York, who is currently investigating the Trump Foundation, who is currently investigating Trump's real estate companies, the Trump family business, if Trump loses that election, which I don't think he's going to lose it if he's running against Joe Biden, I think he would lose it if he's running against Bernie Sanders, he might immediately have some officials and prosecutors from the Southern District of New York office outside Trump Tower with handcuffs. And I'm not being dramatic. Because I always said, including when I was at the Young Turks, It's not about Russia. It's not about Russia and the Russian boogeyman and he colluded with Russia. That was always a kooky conspiracy theory, and I was proved right. And frankly, Cenk and the Young Turks were proven ridiculous, if we're being honest. They were wrong, and they still to this day refuse to admit they were wrong. Cenk has gone on to say, well, I never pushed the collusion theory. Yeah, he did. I was on a panel with him pushing that Trump's campaign colluded with the Russians. But I digress. Congress can't do anything about him committing a crime because Congress doesn't have the power to put him in jail for that. Congress can only impeach him if he has violated his oath of office and done impeachable things. Now, then you have to look at, well, is it going to work? There was a chance, a small chance, but a chance that Bill Clinton could have ultimately been impeached. There was a chance. There is no chance that Donald Trump would be impeached. Not with Lindsey Graham and the other Republican senators who are like scared little scarecrows. And Donald Trump could literally shoot someone in front of them. You know, Donald Trump says he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. Well, Donald Trump could shoot somebody in front of a fellow Republican senator and get away with it. And they'd say, well, we don't agree with him shooting somebody, but, you know, just Trump being Trump. So it's not going to pass. So then the question is not whether we should begin impeachment proceedings, but whether it's worth all of this show and theatrics, which is going to distract from the actual issues that helped elect Trump in the first place. That's what all this is about. I think Trump did wrong. I think he did obstruct justice. I think he should be brought to justice criminally, not just for obstructing justice in the Mueller report, but for money laundering since the 1980s. He didn't build his business legally. He's been dodging taxes and money laundering since the 80s. And the corporate media ignored that when they were covering him and giving him $2 billion worth of free airtime in 2016. If the corporate media would have done its job, he might have not been elected. But they chose never to focus on the money laundering because it was just, the ride was just too nice. The reality show was just too nice. So I think if you want to impeach him, you can't just say we're gonna begin proceedings over obstruction of justice. You have to explain, well, why shouldn't he be impeached for caging children, for banning Muslims from 6 or 7 countries that have no data. There's no data connected to those countries attacking us or killing Americans. And for violating financial rules and rules against the president still making money from private businesses and all those things. But I think if the Democratic Party suddenly has such principle and they think, well, we have to do our constitutional duty. You know what? Do your constitutional duty and protect Americans from foreign and domestic terrorists. Because you know who are the domestic terrorists? It's the pharmaceutical companies killing people like the son I just told you about. They're domestic terrorists. The NRA are domestic terrorists. The fossil fuel companies are domestic terrorists. The bankers, to me, are domestic terrorists. Focus on that, because you're not going to be able to actually impeach Donald Trump. So I'm not saying he hasn't done things that deserve impeachment, but we're already, we're at the 1.5 year mark away from the election. You're not going to impeach him because the Republican Senate won't do it. So the question is, do we want the theatrics to make us feel good that they tried? I'd rather beat him in the election. So that's what I believe. You might not like it, all of you, but that's what I think. Tell me what you think in the super chat. So I told you we're going to end this show with a little Q&A because I didn't get to do it yesterday. So I'm open here. Reminder before we do a Q&A, make sure you check out our membership, statuscoup.com/join. We really are trying to grow. We're at 409 members right now. So we need to get that number up, and we need to get it up quickly. So if you want more interviews, if you want more in the field reporting, if you want us to be able to hire reporters, you know what to do. Also, help us grow through our GoFundMe. We appreciate the donations today. Again, we're going to have a big surprise for you on Sunday, so help us fund that surprise because we're going to need it by donating to our GoFundMe. Any amount matters. I think the minimum is $5. There's definitely no amount too big and definitely no amount too small. So, Jen, am I forgetting anything to plug? I don't think so. So hit me. Questions, comments, concerns. Obviously, I'll definitely read super chats quicker than others. We do need to make some money. But if you have questions, comments, concerns, I want to read them. Scott Desnoyers. He's the father I was telling you about, whose son just tragically just ended his life over his insurance being canceled over $20. So Scott is in the live chat. I just interviewed him earlier. We're going to air it on Sunday. Again, Scott, I'm sure myself and the audience send condolences that should not have ever had to be sent. But thank you for doing the interview with me, and I know our audience is going to be really, really upset and also angry when they see it on Sunday. So thank you. Adam Nation, you don't fight fascists because you're going to win. You do it because they're fascists. I agree with you. I see what you're saying as far as whether we should impeach him or not. But, I mean, the bottom line is, the point of a fight is to win. That's my belief, Adam. So, yeah, you fight because it's the right thing to do. But if you're going to fight a fascist, you're fighting to take down the fascist. I actually think if you try to impeach Trump, it's going to probably guarantee his reelection because he's going to rally that base like you would not believe. And that base is bigger than the corporate media lets on. So I see what you're saying, that you fight fascists. You don't fight fascists because you're going to win. You do it because they're fascists. The bottom line is, how do you get that fascist out of power as quickly as possible? We could be moral and upstanding and say it doesn't matter. We need to do the right thing. To me, the right thing is to get the fascist out of power as quickly as possible because he's not going to be impeached, even if we try. So that's what I think. Somebody asked, did I miss it? Somebody asked about membership versus Patreon, so I wanted to answer that. I don't know who asked, but somebody asked, what's the difference? There is no difference. Our patrons get the same content as our members. Patreon actually has a few more levels. So we do have one person, I think, that is a patron at $100 a month. So if you want to support us at $100 a month, I'm going to get on the phone with you and grovel at your feet. And thank you so much. If you want to support us at $100 a month, you could do that at Patreon. You could also support us at Patreon at $50 a month. Those would be really, really helpful. I think we also have $27 a month at Patreon, whereas our website membership only has $5, $10 a month, $20 a month, and $179 annually. The reason we're trying to grow through our website is because we don't want to be dependent on a third-party platform. But we're not swaying people who are patrons. You could stay at Patreon, and if you want us, if you're new and want to sign up, brand new. You could sign up at Patreon or the member site. And also, nobody is precluded from signing up as a patron and a member if you're really diehard and have the money. Obviously, if you don't have the money, don't do it. We don't want to make anyone's situation bad. So, Jen said membership, so forget what I said. Sign up as a member through our website. Kelly Elaine, good point, Jordan. It would stir those racists. Absolutely. Oh my God, if the Democrats try to impeach Donald Trump, the talk of the deep state and the coup now, oh my God, it's going to be like Fox News and the Republicans and the lunatic right, you're going to start saying coup de Trump shirts all over the country, and they're going to say this is a deep state coup. And the base is going to come out bigger and better than ever. Bigger and better than ever. So that's the bottom line. I think you could fight on principle. You could fight on principle, or you could fight to win. And I don't think the way to defeat Donald Trump is through impeachment. I think it's through the ballot box. What else do we got? Sway Ocean. The right no longer listens to the left at all because the left constantly calls them racist. It's not helpful and solidifies them in their positions. I agree and disagree. I think in some cases you got to call racism what it is. You can't, kowtow and be pleasant around racists. But I do think it's wrong to call all Trump supporters racist because I interviewed a lot of Trump supporters out on the campaign trail. Not all Trump supporters are racist. They're just not. Loner weirdo. I hope you're not too much of a loner weirdo. Do you get why people never vote? Those they want to win never will. We SP surmised. Not sure what you mean by that, but okay. What else? Anybody got questions, comments, concerns? Steve Richter, Ty Bayless, question mark. What about Ty Bayless? I just spoke with him before I got on the phone. Ty has been missing in action because Ty has been working on the documentary Flushing Flint, which we're going to have exciting news about soon. So Ty has been working on finishing Flushing Flint because we want to shorten it. We wanted to shorten it to send it to some film festivals. So he's almost done with that, and then he's going to be back on air and doing a lot more that you'll see him. So Ty's still with us. What else? Big Dave, Biden is a racist. Hold on a second. I think Biden is a racist, personally. I think Biden is a racist. Hold on. I think Biden is a racist. He might not consciously want to harm black people, but in the way he believes and his actions, it's been racist. I don't think it's racial. I think it's racist. So I agree with you. Carne, please say that Michael Moore will screen it. Carne Verde, I could do a 7-hour live stream on the amount of times that I have sent our Flint reporting to Michael Moore to be blown off. Meaning no response. We are sending the documentary to Michael Moore's film festival. We're submitting it this week to his film festival. So, yes, it would be amazing if Michael Moore would look at the documentary and look at our work, because I think if Michael Moore gets involved in our Flint reporting, you get a lot more national media attention. Bet to Virus, could you please post in the status quo specific times of when you're going to go live? We go live every day, 5 o'clock Eastern. 5 o'clock Eastern. I told you yesterday, put it in your phone, remind yourself with a notification in your phone or your iPad or your laptop or wherever. 5 o'clock Eastern, Monday through Friday. Don't expect YouTube. Do not expect YouTube to give you a notification. Do not expect YouTube to send you a notification on time. Do not expect YouTube to send you a notification at all. You're lucky if YouTube sends you a notification. That's why every single day, even with a channel that's almost at 42,000 subscribers, thank you for subscribing. If you're not a subscriber yet, click that subscribe button. It's right there in the logo, status quo. Click on our logo and right there, press subscribe. If you don't depend on YouTube, put it in your phone or wherever you need to remind yourself we're live every day at 5 o'clock Eastern. Of course, some days I'll be a little bit late based on what we got going on. But generally, we're going to be live at 5 o'clock Eastern, sometimes 5:15, 5:30. If we're going to be really late, we post it on our YouTube channel under the community tab. So we post updates on our community tab and at our Twitter at Status Quo. So make sure you follow us at Status Quo. We're growing there too. Thank you, Antonio Danzi, for the super chat. I don't know what currency that is. It says $10, so I'll take it. Jen says, I feel like I'm being tortured with that clicking sound. What clicking sound? It's raining outside. Is that what you're talking about? Does anybody hear a clicking sound? So Antonio says, hey, Jordan and Den, do you know what the environmental impacts of poisoned water are beyond the human costs like soil pollution? And did you see Bernie's video on poisoned South Carolina water? I did see Bernie's video. I retweeted it, and I did a separate tweet on the video. And I thought it was really good, and I'm glad that he's actually getting out in front and talking about water issues. I wish his campaign would have responded to our story on the state of Michigan cheating on the Flint water testing and covering up the real lead levels in Flint, but they didn't. We're going to keep trying, but they haven't so far. But I'm glad that he went down to Denmark, South Carolina, which has a big water crisis, which we'd like to cover in the field, but we need revenue and GoFundMe and membership to do that. And what are the environmental impacts of poisoned water? The environmental impacts of poisoned water aren't the same as lead coming out of or stuff going into the air. The environmental impact of poisoned water is the impact on humans. That is the human cost. I wouldn't speak too much to the environmental impacts of water poisoning because it's mostly going into human bodies and things we drink, and environmental impacts if it goes through your shower. If you're showering with contaminated water, it's mostly on the human. So I'd have to look into more of the environmental impacts, but as far as I know, and I've studied water quite a bit, I don't know if there's too many environmental impacts. Fracking, I can tell you a lot about. What else? Okay. Adam Nation, if I thought Dems were genuine about beating Trump, I would agree with you, Jordan, as a pragmatist. The Dem establishment only cares about beating leftists because that's why they're paid. That's true. Not bad. Yeah, I think it's the rain, Jen. I don't know what else it would be. Kerry says, yes, status quo, show no mercy. The GOP would get rid of Trump to have Pence be president, and he could govern his racist, hate-filled agenda. Trump is just as ignorant, but he is lazy and can't govern. And by the way, if Donald Trump was impeached, which again, he would not be impeached because the Republican Senate is too chicken beep to impeach him, his base would just rally around Mike Pence. You want a President Pence for 4 or 8 years? Because I can tell you something that's equally, if not worse, than President Trump. Mike Pence. Go ask the women of Indiana. Go ask the people of Indiana. Go ask the black people of Indiana. You want a right-wing Christian fundamentalist lunatic? You want Mike Pence to be deciding the Supreme Court? Mike Pence would put no one would go on the Supreme Court with Mike Pence's blessing that didn't promise that they would vote to overturn Roe versus Wade. So if Roe versus Wade matters to you, Mike Pence cannot even sniff the presidency because he will put judges on that Supreme Court that would overturn Roe versus Wade. You could put it in your pipe and smoke it because that's what would happen. Mirrored said, no thanks, Mike Imperialist Pence. Kimberly S., happy the Williams pipeline has been denied for the time being. Yep, but you can't let up. You can't let up. Sometimes pipelines get delayed, and then in the middle of the night, they get restarted again. So pipeline fights and activists fighting against pipelines have to keep it up even when they are delayed. CC Silverwolf, gonna have to disagree with you, Jordan. Not that Pence sucks, but impeachment hurt both Clintons and Gore. Pence wouldn't be unscathed. I think we're living in a much different time than when attempts to impeach Bill Clinton were made. First of all, there was no such thing as social media when Bill Clinton and attempts to impeach him were made. Fox News was still only 2 years old. So the right-wing media machine was not what it is today. You didn't have Breitbart. You didn't have 25,000 right-wing lunatic commentators on radio and online. And Fox News, what was that, 1997 and 1998? Fox News was born in 1996. And in the beginning, actually, it wasn't as lunatic right-wing the first 2 years. So I beg to differ. I actually think if you try to impeach Donald Trump, it's going to. I think normally, without Donald Trump in the picture, if it was just Mike Pence against a Democrat, Mike Pence would lose because a ham sandwich would fall asleep listening to Mike Pence. But if Donald Trump is impeached, oh my God, with the social media environment we're living in, with right-wing radio, with Fox News and Breitbart, and these white nationalist militias out there, can you imagine the people running around with their tiki torches, Jews won't replace us? They would all go to Pence to fight for their fallen Donald. So I respectfully disagree with you, but at status quo, we could agree to disagree. Sway Ocean, honestly, Roe vs. Wade should be overturned as it makes abortion about privacy. We need a better law that makes sense. Completely disagree with you. I don't think we could screw with. Roe versus Wade on the grounds of making something better. The minute you overturn Roe versus Wade, you're not getting abortion protection back easily. So I wouldn't screw around with Roe versus Wade because we should get a better law than it to protect women. We have the law now. It protects women and allows them to have abortion, and that's it. That's my opinion, Sway, but I love you. Kelly Elaine, never get Pence a leg up. Throw them both out next year. Couldn't agree with you more, Kelly. And thank you again for all your donations. You are the people's champion. I'm mostly afraid that Password Sucks says, I'm mostly afraid. Did I lose you, Password Sucks? Oh, I'm mostly afraid that Trump would refuse to step down and send his sycophants to defend him and even fight for him violently. Password Sucks. I got to call BS on this. Not that you're BS, but all these people like Nancy Pelosi saying, oh, we have to be moderate because Trump might not relinquish power if he loses. He's not a king. He's not a king. Don't give Trump powers that he doesn't have. If he loses the election, by law, he can't just chain himself to the White House. After the 2-month transition period, he's got to go. So after they might sue and try to do legal challenges, but unless it's really close, where if it was Bernie Sanders versus Trump, it ain't going to be close. Bernie will win by a significant margin. If it's Biden versus Trump, I think Biden's going to lose, actually. I do. So Trump's not a king. If he loses, then there's a democratically elected president-elect, whether it's Bernie Sanders or somebody else. So if Trump refuses to leave, the military on January 20th or whatever day is the inauguration for the next president, no longer belongs to Donald Trump. The National Guard doesn't belong to Donald Trump. U.S. Marshals doesn't belong to Donald Trump. And name the 25 other units of militarized police that we have in America. They wouldn't belong to Comrade Trump. He's not a king. He's not, his little white nationalist buddies could storm the gates of the White House, but it's not going to stop the new president from coming in. So knock it off with this Nancy Pelosi, oh, I'm afraid that he won't leave. Come on. What do we got here? Artificial Morphison, $2 in the super chat. TYT is pushing Warren as we speak. Thoughts? My old stomping ground. I don't watch TYT anymore, so I can't give you thoughts. I'm not seeing the segment. It doesn't surprise me that they're pushing Warren. I mean, Cenk did an interview on her, I believe, earlier this year and one last year that to me was pretty soft and pretty much a pillow fight or a pillow party. I would have challenged Elizabeth Warren a lot more. I like her on a lot of issues, but I think she's been bad on other issues. I don't think Cenk challenged her, probably because he wants more to continue having access to her. I don't know that for a fact, but that's my guess. So my thoughts on them pushing her, you gotta pick your fruit and stick with it. You want Bernie. It doesn't mean you can't cover Elizabeth Warren's campaign, but you shouldn't be pushing. I mean, to me, I'm not pushing candidates because I'm a journalist. I cover based on the facts. Personally, I'm very open that I like Bernie, but as I've always said, that doesn't affect my reporting. If I found out information that was negative about Bernie Sanders, I'd report it if it was factual and worth reporting. And if people fled me because of that, then so be it. But you got to start with facts and the truth. But if they're pushing Bernie Sanders, I don't know why they'd be also pushing Elizabeth Warren. Frankly, and I'm going to get attacked for this as a sexist. It's not about sex, but if Elizabeth Warren is polling at 8 or 10% and loses the Iowa caucus by a lot and comes in a distant third or fourth, she needs to drop out because she will be pulling away votes from the progressive Bernie Sanders. And if Elizabeth Warren is a progressive, she should drop out. If she's still polling and gets creamed in Iowa, she should drop out because you're taking votes away from the actual progressive candidate. And I would say the same thing about Bernie Sanders. If Bernie Sanders was getting crushed in Iowa and crushed in New Hampshire, he should drop out. Charles Pereira in the super chat, $5. I don't know what that currency that is. Bernie could die tomorrow without having built nothing or a proper party or heir. Where will progressives vote goes if it happens? Tulsi, Warren, Yang? First of all, Charles, don't talk about Bernie dying. That scares me. Secondly, you're kind of talking like it's Game of Thrones, which I like. Who will be the heir? Who will be the king? Thank you, by the way, for the $5, whatever that currency is. I think Bernie's heir, to tell you the truth, is Nina Turner. I think she's a dynamic. She's Obama as a speaker with actually being progressive. She's everything Obama we thought we were going to get with Obama, but she actually is that. I've had private conversations with her, and I'm not a religious man, but I was ready to go to church. She's just got it. I think it's also, keeping it real, she's an African-American woman, and I'd like to see an African-American woman run and become president. I'd like to see a woman president, but particularly Nina Turner. I think Nina Turner would, if the worst happened, would pick up the baton from Bernie Sanders. That's not to say I don't like Tulsi Gabbard. I do like Tulsi Gabbard. But Tulsi Gabbard doesn't have that thing you can't describe in words in terms of charisma and inspiring people and lifting people and making people see something in front of them that otherwise you couldn't see or isn't there. So Nina Turner would be my answer. Michael Cooper asks, is it true that the DNC has to confirm the Democratic vice president? They have some sort of veto fight? I've never heard that. Arya Stark. Arya, why are you messaging me? I thought you were off to sea. I thought you were off voyaging what's beyond the wall. Ooh, I gave spoilers to Game of Thrones. I'm sorry. Arya says, sorry for the language, but genocidal maniac is a no-no. Who did I call a genocidal maniac? I don't think I called anyone a genocidal maniac. Daniel Gallmeyer, Tulsi is boring. Well, we're not looking for a reality TV star to be president. We're looking for a progressive who could actually change the country. But I think it wouldn't hurt to have somebody inspiring, who could bring down the House, who could inspire you, and all that stuff. AJ Amarelli, Bernie is too old, and when you bring up his record in his own state, he's literally done nothing for Vermont in 40 years. I know, I grew up in New England. Vermont is a nothing state. I don't think he's too old. I'm not an expert on Vermont politics, but I beg to differ that he's done nothing for Vermont. And I just don't buy the age argument. Because you want to know something? Bernie Sanders right now has more energy and health than I do, and I'm 32. I could not crisscross the country like Bernie Sanders is doing. Bernie Sanders has been on the road campaigning more than any other Democratic candidate. As far as we know, he's in decent health for a 76-year-old. And I'd rather 6 months of Bernie Sanders than Donald Trump. I'd rather Bernie Sanders in a coma than Donald Trump. So I don't think he's too old. I mean, Jimmy Carter is 95, 94 or 95. He's still living. People are living older. So don't be an ageist. And even if Bernie Sanders, the worst happened and he was president and he passed away, that's why he would have a progressive, younger, hopefully female vice president. So I don't buy the age argument at all. Jen says Carter for president. All right, folks, it's been real. I'll do more Q&A tomorrow. As a reminder, first of all, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, if you're new to the channel, go to that Status Quo logo right at the right bottom of the right screen. Click subscribe. We're almost at 42,000 subscribers. Secondly, thank you for the GoFundMe contributions today. We are now at $54,199. That's $54,199. As a reminder, we got a big special surprise for you this coming Sunday, noon Eastern. Sunday Marathon live stream. Big surprise. It's going to involve needing to fundraise, but we think it's going to be worth it to you for this surprise. So start the donations now. You don't have to wait till Sunday. Secondly, we are also actively trying to grow our membership. So if you're not a member, statusquo.com/join. If you've been on the fence, think about it. What can you sacrifice the $5 at Starbucks this week to pay for Status Quo per month? We also have $10 a month membership options. Can you sacrifice, that $10 whatever this month for in the field reporting? We also have the $20 option, which you get a little bit more behind the scenes content. Or if you'd rather not go per month, you could do $179 annually and be part of the Coup Day Cavalry. We really need to start growing that membership as much as humanly possible. And also, a lot of you have asked, how do we buy memberships for other people? How do we gift memberships? So Jen will do a video on this to make it a little bit easier for you. We don't have like a button yet to gift membership because our website plugin doesn't work for that. But you could gift membership by simply going to sign up like you did for yourself, entering the email of the person you want to give the membership to, filling in the information of that person, and then just putting your credit card information in. So all you really need that's different from your sign up is that person's email. And to answer your question, no, that person would have absolutely no access to your credit card or your credit card information. They would just get the subscription, get the membership, and then have access to our member section on our website for our member content. But they wouldn't have any access to your credit card information, none of that. So if you want to sign up for other people and gift membership, I don't know, ask your friend for their email. Don't tell them why. Hey, I need your email, and do it. We appreciate it. And finally, very important, if you have not yet followed at Status Quo on the Twitter, we're growing. We are now at on the Status Quo Twitter, 5,678 followers. And that's not bad considering we haven't actually been tweeting from Status Quo for months. We were really focusing on other things, but now we're trying to grow our Twitter. So go there at Status Quo on the Twitter, click follow, and also click notifications so you get notified when we tweet. Thank you, Terramai, another $2 in the super chat. And lastly, if you have not signed up for our email list, we promise you we're not going to email you breakfast, noon, and lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Maybe for a midnight snack. We're going to email you exclusive news. We're going to email you, yes, asking you to help financially sometimes. We're going to email you interesting content. So sign up and become for our email list. Go to statusquo.com. Carl Knight, who's your favorite journalist nowadays? You. And Carl Knight just signed up as a Status Quo member at the annual level. So thank you, Carl, now a member of the Coup Day Cavalry. My favorite journalist is a guy by the name of Charlie LaDuff. Charlie LaDuff out of Detroit. He's done some great work. I also like Matt Taibbi a lot. I'll have to think on the others. I like Abby Martin a lot. But Charlie LaDuff has always been my number one. Look him up. Read his book, Detroit. It's really, really good book. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock Eastern Time. We're always uploading new videos here on the YouTube channel. So make sure you click notifications and all notifications right next to subscribe. Click the bell. I can't promise you YouTube will actually notify you, but that gives you a chance. And remember, most people are not lacking compassion in this country. Most people have no idea what in God's name is going on. Peace out.